Hello and welcome to the Sound Lab podcast interviews unedited. On today's show, we have interviews from Geoff Downes of the band Yes and Asia. We also have AFTERDRIVE. We have Black Hats and Evelyn Cornell. Plus, we throw back to 2024 to chat to Mark Ambor. So, without further ado, let's start off with our first interview from Geoff Downes. He's got a very busy year coming up, and we had a chat with him all about it. So, Geoff Downes, how are you?
I'm very good. How's yourself?
Good, yeah, not too bad. Thanks so much. So, big news is that in April, you are heading out back on tour here in the UK for your Fragile tour, the UK leg, that is. Tell us a bit about what we can expect on this tour.
Well, I think it's, we're back doing the Fragile album in its entirety, which is something that I think we did probably 10 or 11 years ago when Chris was with us, maybe 2014. But it's a great album to play live. I think that a lot of the Yes fans see it as an iconic album in the Yes canon. I mean, obviously you look at an album like Close to the Edge being the definitive one from that era, but I think the Fragile album really started off, I suppose, what you could talk about being the classic lineup of Yes, and it's a great album to play live. And not just that, of course, we're doing half the sets are based around that album, but we're doing quite a lot of stuff from Tormato, which is an album that I didn't really pay much attention to when it came out because I was off doing other things. But it's a great album again, to be addressing, and we've got quite a few deeper tracks that haven't been done before. So yeah, it's exciting times for us.
Yeah, no, for sure. What was the reason behind creating a whole tour surrounding the Fragile album itself?
Well, I think the thing is that it's something that the Yes fans they crave to hear, particularly with the fact that we do it in the actual order that the album was constructed under. So I think it brings back a lot of good memories for the Yes fans, because they remember when they bought the vinyl and they popped it on, and then they flipped it over and played the other side. It's a sort of historic, nostalgic trip down memory lane.
Yeah, no, for sure. And obviously, you've mentioned that half the show is based on this Fragile record, but there's quite a few other albums released by the band Yes. How did you kind of pick and choose what other tracks to perform during this show?
Well, I think we wanted to go a little bit more off-piste, and I think that obviously we've done virtually all the albums, certainly from the classic period. We touched on Tales from Topographic, we touched on Relayer. So it seemed nice for us to be able to go back and actually do this whole album in its entirety. And as I say, it's a great album. It's a great album to play. We start with the album starts with Roundabout, which is a bit strange in terms of the fact that Roundabout was always considered to be an encore piece for Yes. So this comes right in the middle of the set, and I think that it's interesting. It's certainly a bit different, and it keeps you on your toes. To think you got a big track right in the middle of the set like that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And you've already done the US leg of this Fragile tour. Have you catered your set differently when it comes to the other tracks for the UK market, or is it going to be the same as what you've already done?
I think it's pretty much the same. I think there might be a couple of other things that we've added in, but it's not going to be much different, because I think that we felt that the pacing of it worked really well live, and so in terms of bringing it to the UK audience, I think we felt that it was going to be a great thing for them to experience as well, rather than just chopping it around and doing something completely different. As I say, the pacing of it seemed to work really well, so that's one of the reasons why we're kind of sticking to that format at the moment.
Nice. And you weren't around in the band when Fragile first came out.
God, no, I was a student.
Yeah. How straightforward was it to learn all the tracks? Because I'm sure there were tracks that you're performing that you probably haven't performed before.
Well, with Fragile, as I say, we did it around about 2014, 2015. So it was really a case of relearning it. But I mean, when I say I was a student when it first came out, I remember we lived in one of these big sort of student houses with about 10 of us, and there was one guy who was just played Fragile all day long, so I didn't really get much chance not to hear it and not to be familiar with it. But I mean, as I said before, some of the stuff from Tomato, I didn't really attach much significance to that at the time. And as I say, it's a fantastic album, and that's a great one to put in there as well. So it's very interesting from my standpoint, because I think that looking at a lot of Rick Wakeman's keyboard parts, which were very, very intricate, very as I said, I think Fragile was the first album he did with them. So it started a whole new chapter of Yes's music, and I think that from my standpoint, from a musicology standpoint, just looking at how the songs are constructed is very interesting. So I really embrace it. I really get inside it, and I try and be as faithful as possible to the original recording.
Yeah, no, for sure. It's been a few years now since Yes's latest record, Mirror to the Sky. Have thoughts been put towards writing some new music?
We've actually recorded another album, which we're working on for the last year, on and off, because we've been shuffling around, doing tours here, there and everywhere. But it's something we managed to put together, and I think that it really cements this lineup. I think that this lineup, obviously with the exception of Alan, who passed in a few years ago, which was a very sad time for the band, because particularly from my standpoint, because I was very much Alan and I were very close. But Jay was covering for Alan when he got sick for some of the time. So I think that the album itself, or the band itself, has got really worked together over the last 8 or 9 years, and so we've had that lineup, and this album that's coming up, I think bears fruition to the fact that we really got a good understanding within the band, and a good rapport between us, and I think that certainly Billy and Jay are a very, very commanding rhythm section in the way that Chris and Alan were. So I think we're going in the right direction, and I'm not sure exactly when the album's coming out, but I imagine it'll be one side of the summer, depending on when the record label wants to put it out.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And the sound that you've made with this record, is it the sound you wanted, or is it kind of just how it turned out as you were writing and recording it?
Well, I think we always challenge ourselves. I think that each album that you address, you don't necessarily want it to sound exactly like the previous one, but by the same token, I think that it's unmistakably got that Yes sound to it, and I think that that's important, that we continue at least that recognisable sound to some degree. But that's not to say that some of the material is quite left field, some of it's mainstream. It's a good mixture, I think, and I think this is now the third album that we've done with this with our current lineup. I think that as I say, it starts to look much sound like we really are kind of gelling and getting it all together.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And you are a busy man, because at the same time as doing this tour, there's also a Asia live record coming out. Yeah. And we've been playing Only Time Will Tell, the live version of that. Tell us a bit about the reason behind releasing this live record and the track Only Time Will Tell as well.
Well, I think a couple of years ago we did a tribute for John Wetton, and I got the situation where I was putting together a band for this tribute show that we did, and I discovered Harry, who is a fantastic, talented singer who not just channels John Wetton, but I mean he's got that sort of very fitting sound that works with Asia's music, and so I got him involved in it, and then I think John Mitchell, who'd worked with John and myself, not just with John Wetner's on solo stuff, but with John and myself on our Icon project that we had together. So I think that it was it really got a great response from the audience when we did all the Asia stuff, and I thought, well, it'd be nice to take this a stage further, and so we had the opportunity to do these gigs last year, and I felt it was a good idea to introduce the albums that had not been played in their entirety before. So we did a 3-album set, one after trilogy, if you like, one night after the other, which was an intense learning curve, as you can imagine, because there's some 35 songs we were putting together. But I think the Live in England one, the opening album, which was basically the whole of the first album plus some extra tracks, I think that was a great album for us to start with, and so we did that on the first night. And I think that Only Time Will Tell, particularly one of the iconic Yes songs that John and I wrote back in 1981 when the band was put together, and it's it's got all the elements, I think, that made Asia successful in some ways, as successful as we were, because I think it still had the elements of progressive rock from the bands that, say, Steve and Carl and John had come from, but at the same time it was a much more condensed version, much more, I suppose, accessible, and of course the 80s being a very different period in terms of, as I say, bands like Yes and ELP were used to doing these great long tracks, 20 minutes long, and we thought it was nice that that's really how Heat of the Moment and Only Time Will Tell came about, really, because they were a much more condensed version. But I don't think anyone felt that we'd sort of given up on the on anyone's past. I think it was that everybody wanted to do something that was different and new, and I think that Only Time Will Tell kind of exemplifies what we were trying to do at the time.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And another project you've been working on is with Chris Braid with the Downes Braid Association. Where are you at with that?
Yeah, we've got another album recorded for that. In fact, I've got 3 albums coming out this year, which is why I'm doing so many interviews. But and of course touring. We're touring with as we pointed out, Yes, in the UK coming up shortly, and then we're doing a few dates with Asia, and then we're going back into Japan with Yes in September, and then on to America in October. So, there's a lot of touring and there's a lot of releases. So I'm going to be a pretty busy guy for the rest of the year, I think.
Yeah, how do you cater your time when it comes to the touring and kind of studio time? Is it straightforward, or is it a bit crammed at times?
Well, I think a lot of stuff is done, the ideas are exchanged remotely now, so it does take, you're not sort of in a room where you're recording an album and you lock yourself away like you did in the 70s and 80s, where that was the way it was done, and I think that now it's much more a case of, you get your ideas together and then you trade them off with someone else, and then they come back to you, and the albums in a way get put together. I mean, obviously there is some, it's not just completely remote. I mean, there are some personal contact. I mean, I spent quite a few weeks with Steve in the studio on the Yes album. The same with Harry and John and Virgil on the Asia stuff, and Chris, was in LA, but now he's back over here, so we get together from time to time and exchange our ideas that way. So it's a sort of mix of both, really, and but as I say, it does cut down the time that you would historically have to spend in the studio, because whilst you're on the road, you can be firing off files to people and exchanging ideas that way.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And when it comes to the writing side of things, for you, when you do write, are you writing for a specific project, or is it a case of writing something and then working out where it goes from there?
Yeah, I think the ideas sort of float to the surface, and I think that if I get an idea that I say, well, that that's got to sound that sounds very much like an idea that Chris Braid would like to hear, then I'll send it off that way. But I kind of put myself in writing mode. I put a writing hat on, and I just write anything, and then sift through it and say, well, that's much more of a Yes song, or that's much more of an Asia song, or whatever, and that's really, it sounds a simple solution, but that's pretty much the way that it works out.
And I hope you enjoyed the interview there with Geoff Downes to talk about his busy year ahead with both Yes and Asia and more. Now, we are all over social media, so come and find us at The Sound Lab Yes on all the socials. You can also check out the website at thesoundlabuk.co.uk. So while you go and find us on all the socials and give us some follows, we've got our next interview from AFTERDRIVE. They've got a new single out called Fashion, and we had a chat with them all about it. So AFTERDRIVE, how are you?
I'm so well, Jim. How about yourself?
Yeah, not too bad. Thanks so much. So we have just about started playing a new single of yours called Fashion. Tell us a bit about the single, first of all.
Yeah, so I think it's a start of a new era for AFTERDRIVE. It's definitely got a new, unique sound. It's still in our lane, but something feels very special about that song. Well, to me personally. So we recently recorded it at Thomas Mitchell's studio, and it's part of, well, it's going to be post-release, is going to be following on with an EP. So in that way, it feels very special as like a starting point. So like showing ourselves as a band and what we do best.
Yeah, nice. And you have released a whole bunch of singles over the last few years. What got you to this point to decide to actually make an EP itself?
I think that when we got to the stage where we were online and also through releases and also playing around the UK, we've realised how many people love our music. And I think at the start, when you first start in the first few years, it's almost like stepping stones. And for every single release, we've got better and better and develop as an artist. And I think it's just got to the point where we have such a catalogue that we've been writing, and so many strong songs that we feel like that needs to be shown to the world. So therefore, I think it's going to be a next big step for AFTERDRIVE is releasing that EP and showing exactly what we're about and getting our signature sound and a mature sound. Because when you're first starting, it's like you're doing, you're like testing the waters a little bit, like what you're about, yourself. You're finding yourself as an artist. But now I feel we're 3 years in, going on 4, and now we're really, really developed as an artist, and we're gonna show you that.
Nice. Do you feel then that you now know what the sound of AFTERDRIVE is after the releasing of these singles over the last few years?
Yes, definitely. So throughout the writing stages, at the start, it was mainly just getting as many songs out as possible, or like trying to write and testing it, as I said. But now I feel like we're at a stage where we've really found how we write and what works best. And I wouldn't say it's exactly a sound, but also a feel. So when you listen to our stuff, a lot of our catalogue at the moment is fairly similar sounding, but also the songs that we've got coming out sit on that same level, but are different, but still sound like us. So yeah, the answer to your question is, I think our sound is really ready to be put out in a project form, and
Nice.
It's also got a storyline behind it as well, which I'm really looking forward to showing.
Okay, nice. What can you share with us now about the storyline?
Well, for now, I'd say it's a journey. So like from that track 1 to the end of the track, it shows progression and a story throughout. And some of them are hidden, in fact. But I think that's what, as a writer, so through songwriting, I've also became more confident in what I'm writing about. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what people think of it as well.
Nice, yeah, nice. I'll touch on writing again in a moment, but I'd like to find out with this EP, was it the sound you wanted, or was it kind of how it turned out in the studio and writing process?
Well, we're still we've laid all the tracks down, so the tracking stage is all done. We're now like in the depths of getting each. We're finished most of the tracks, but still there's a few tracks that we're just finalising on production and stuff like that. So then they're all shaping to sound absolutely amazing. Like Fashion is really, really like high quality and sounds like it deserves its place on the stadium. So that's what we're trying to go for with all of our songs, is getting that quality, and also we want to keep that consistency as well for our releases. You don't want one sounding better than the other. We're trying to get it all at that level. So you could say we're a little bit not picky, but perfectionist. But we're not to the point that we'd be like holding back at all. We're really trying to go 100 miles an hour with it and get every single song out there as soon as possible, because we're so excited to show what we're about.
Yeah, I think that's a good thing as well. But I'm sure you wrote more than what has made it onto this EP, and you must have a whole backlog of stuff. What happens to those? Is it a case of trying them again down the line to see if they work for the next project in the future, or will it be a case of starting afresh when the time comes?
So I'm not joking. I reckon, just on like a hard drive sat there, I probably have over close to like 200 songs. But the thing is, because I'm actually got more time now to write, which I really am grateful for, which I absolutely love. Not just through releasing, I find it's like a bit of like self-therapy sometimes, or even not even self-therapy, just getting everything out. If whether that's good or bad, I'm constantly writing like every day when I get the chance. Like I drive to write. Sometimes in different styles, but mostly in the style of After And as a writer, I want to get every song out, but obviously you can't be in the studio 24/7, and you can't at this stage be like, right, I want to release like a 24-track album with two CDs, with two like albums. So, but one day, I promise, like all of them tracks will come out, and we will show exactly like how versatile, but how direct we are as like an artist, and getting our image and what we feel out there.
Nice. Yeah, can't wait to hear them all.
Thanks, man.
And talking about the writing process, for you, how do tracks normally start off?
So a lot of them are melodic. So I'm quite a melodic writer, and a top line writer. So like, I always search for like a chorus, big choruses. I really enjoy writing. And mainly, so what would happen is a lot of the ideas start in my bedroom actually. So like, whether that is on Logic, trying to like create scratch tracks out of different ideas, laying stuff down, throwing stuff away, but then bringing it back. On not really throwing it away, but like keeping it there might work, might not, and eventually. I like to like start with the melody. So when for example, say I load up a project, I'll for example make like a basic instrumental, and then from there I'll build on it, get the lyrics together, bring a storyline in. A lot of the time I'm trying to get into there now, and then building it from there, and then taking it to the band. They do their parts, and then we then take it to the studio once we've got a finalized demo. But it's not always like that. Some of the ideas are all in the practice room as well. So we like to like record our practices on like the phone, and we're trying to write and figuring out what we're doing and developing ideas that we think we listen back and like, that's actually really cool. Because sometimes you don't know in the moment. Like it's like when you do something and then you wake up and listen to it the next day or the next week, and you're like, that's actually really good. So then it's like that. So I've got some advice: is always keep any ideas, whether they're good at the moment or bad in the moment. You never know if they're going to be like useful in the future.
Yeah, no, good to know. And obviously the lyric world and the melody world are two different worlds. How straightforward do you find it to kind of merge the two?
I think it's something I think every artist and songwriter and lyricist is trying to develop. So I wouldn't say I'm at all at the stage where I've perfected it myself. Like I've got loads more to learn, and also practice and keep trying. But I'd say they come pretty equally when I'm writing a song. Usually that's what sometimes makes the song catchy is the words and like syllables and stuff like that, but then also the actual context behind it as well. Like you can't just be saying gibberish as a band anyway, and get out there. They sort of has to have some sort of feeling behind it, I think anyway, personally, as what we're about. But yeah, I'd say they come pretty evenly for me anyway, which I'm grateful for.
Yeah, no, yeah, I bet. And people will want to see you doing some shows. You've got your own show and you've got a support tour coming up. Tell us a bit about what you've
Yes.
got planned.
Yeah, so we're trying to get as many shows as possible and reach out to areas of the UK that we actually haven't been yet, because we're starting to see a lot of feedback online. People like begging us to come to various places, like um, come to Manchester, come to Liverpool, and stuff like that. So we're really showing that we've started growing, which is absolutely amazing. But yeah, the headline show is in Soho. And yeah, we can't wait for that. And also the support tour is absolutely insane. Like, we were blown away when we got the offer through on that. Um, and I just can't wait to see what happens. And we're just trying to get as many shows as possible and talk to different booking agents and get that sorted. And hopefully we'll be on a roll soon, which I really think we will, especially after the EP.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And obviously, festival season's coming around soon. Are you hoping to be doing some festivals this year?
Of course, I love performing just as much as writing. So any show, any opportunity to play in front of a crowd, um, I'm there, and so is everyone else. So the band love it, I love it, we all love it, and that's what we strive to do at the end of the day. Is playing live is probably the funnest part, I'd say.
Yeah, yeah, good. And we get listeners from all around the world. Are you hoping to be going overseas at some point, aside from
Of
this
course, of
smacking
course,
London tour?
I'd absolutely love to, and I really hope that one day that happens. But not in a rush or so. I'm trying to enjoy where we're at right now and be content with how we're moving as an artist. So I'd absolutely love to, as you said, and but I think we're making the right moves to get overseas, I think.
Yeah. Anywhere in particular you really want to go to?
America. Tour in America would be amazing. Even if that's like a support tour, definitely probably start as a support tour or something like that. You never know, we could get worldwide instantly, but that would be amazing too. But yeah, anywhere I haven't been, like I think that's a new experience in itself. Is going to, so it's like the support tour. There's places like I've never been to Paris before, so I can't wait to play there. Um, and Germany, I've never been there. So and even Belgium. I've seen that. It's so exciting just to even just think about the opportunities and the time we're going to have is going to be absolutely phenomenal, I think. So yeah, I'm all smiling about it, and I can't wait.
Yeah, no, I bet. And I'd like to talk about show day as well. So for you, when talk us through what a show day looks like from the moment you get up until after the show is finished.
So I've actually I used to be because I've only been really singing live for 3 years now. I used to get a lot more nervous, but now I'm quite chill. I find actually at the start of the day, I actually feel quite, in a weird way, quite light. I'm like excited, a little bit nervous, got the butterflies. Start eating small because like your appetite's a little bit like off. But then as the day goes, if there's a long travel, I'm just trying to get a little like nap in the car, and then just getting prepped and like running over like what I think is going to happen and how it's going to go the best. So the scenarios, what I'm going to say, what I'm going to do, what I'm going to wear. Then when we get to the venue, obviously the sound check. If the sound check goes smoothly, instantly I'm like, yeah, this is another day. It's only when, which we rarely ever have. We honestly, we're really grateful in that way that we've been working with brilliant sound guys. Um, but if the sound check goes smoothly, then right off the bat we're feeling like this is the one. And then from there it's just going back and like trying to like chill out, not get too like excited, but then be prepared, get a bit to drink and eat, and then showtime. And then once you're on the stage, that's like another story, like the best way, in the best way. I feel like it's a different world up there sometimes, which I always want to be in. So every single time I finish a show, I'm always like, damn, when's the next one? Because it's like it's a feeling that's unmatched, I think. So yeah, it's not too exciting, but my like prep time. But I think it works for me anyway. But it
Yeah,
might change. But at the moment, I think sometimes simplicity is the best. Like, not, you got to try and make sure you're not doing too much to wear yourself out. Like, because I went to Deftones concert the other day. Um, and that was the day before my one of the shows we had with the Entitled Sons. But I was screaming, and then I just realised, because I was screaming the lyrics back, obviously when they were playing, because like they're one of my favourite bands. I was like, oh no, I felt like I was losing my voice for the next day. But that in that terms, as a singer, you have to be careful about. You can't really be too talkative and be like screaming like a concert full pelt. But yeah, I absolutely love the lead up to it as well, just as much as the actual gig itself.
And I hope you enjoyed the interview there with AFTERDRIVE to talk about their new music and more. Now, we at the Sound Lab not only do this show on Spotify, but on Spotify we also have a Spotify playlist. It's called Fresh, and it brings you 150 brand new up-and-coming artists that we feel like you might just enjoy yourselves. And if you want to check that out, search Fresh by the Sound Lab on Spotify or head to the website thesoundlabuk.co.uk. So while you go and find the playlist and give it a save to listen to later on, of course, we've got our next interview from Black Hats. They are busy this year releasing new music, and we have had a chat with them all about it. So Black Hats, how are you?
I'm good. Yeah, really good, thanks. We've got a new single coming out anytime now, so this is exciting stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've actually been playing it. It's called Witness to Everything. Tell us a bit about the single.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, it's the second time I've written something that is about a massive thing, but it's impossible to put the massive thing into words. So you just have to kind of skirt around the massive thing. And it's all, I mean, it's just how the world is at the moment. I imagine you sort of look, I imagine if you're a sort of person into music, you kind of see in the world a bit like me. And it's all a bit, a bit bonkers, isn't it, really? In loads of different ways, And so I think in the song we're basically just saying, like, there's a lyric where it's just saying all we can kind of do is witness it at the moment because we haven't got any control, and there's like a bit about like holding hands through it. It says hold a hand will bring you in. It's just let's get through this, let's get through it, basically. It's nice. Like the late 70s has re-emerged, and it's like we're gonna have to do rock against racism again and stuff like that. It's all I don't know, or maybe you don't feel like that.
I do, yeah. I can't see it getting much worse. So
yeah, I know. It might get worse before it gets better, but that's the time when music's needed the most, right?
Indeed, yeah, no, absolutely. And I believe you've got some more music coming this year. Tell us what you've got planned for 2026.
Yeah, so we were going to do like an EP. We've always done like either a mini album or an EP. And this time we've decided to do 4 singles, release them as 4 singles, because then each one gets noticed in its own right. And actually, when we write songs, we write them all as little singles anyway. And we ended up just putting them on albums. We're like, actually, let's just do them one at a time. And then each one can have a video, each one can have a kind of story. So we're doing one every 3 months. So there's this one, March the 9th, it's coming out, and then it will be June, July, that kind of time for the festivals. Then it will be the autumn festivals, then Christmas. And the idea is that they just come out with a little story each time. Mm. And then what we'll do at the end, we're going to make a vinyl at the end with all of it on, plus some extra stuff at the end to top it all off. So then we'll have to start all over again then. And then the beast carries on.
Indeed, yeah. That's the music industry for us all. Yeah, we know how it goes.
It doesn't stop. Unless you let it stop for a bit, which we have done. We did have we had like kind of, I think when COVID just hit, we were about to do a load of gigs, and then that obviously put a stop to gigs, and then we didn't gig for like a couple of years even after COVID, I don't think. So we're kind of making up for lost time now, really. So it can stop, but it's not good, really. You do lose momentum as a musician. I don't know if a lot of people did at the set. I think in some ways it was good because musicians could kind of re-look at their music and re-look at the gear they use and all that kind of stuff. But you lost momentum gig-wise, definitely.
Yeah, and it took a bit of time, I think, for people to get back into it when that all happened. But at least a lot of people kind of wrote during that time, so there was kind of upsides to it, I guess.
Yeah, this song was written at the end of it. I wrote it down on like a beach in a little B&B kind of thing. A lot of songs I wrote in the time when you couldn't do anything, so the beginnings of them anyway. But the songs change completely. Like, I don't know if you play yourself, but like how we start this song now is completely different to how I first started it, which is great. They kind of, all our songs do that. Bud and Mark, who are in the band, they tend to add so much to it and pick it apart that it ends up being a different song in the end anyway,
Yeah, no, definitely. And I'd like to talk a bit about the writing process as well. So for you, how do tracks normally start off?
Yeah, usually a lyric, like a little idea, maybe a catchy lyric. Like that one, Witness wasn't even called that. I think it was called Riot. So there was an idea about the word riot and how are we going to tackle this thing that's going on. But then that didn't end up being what it was. But usually it's a lyric for me. And then I'll take that to the guys and then we'll kind of jam around a little idea maybe. So it could be that Bud or Mark have come up with a little idea between them, or I might have a little guitar part or something. I mean, like one of them, I think for there was Bud came up with this little idea. And that was kind of, we built it off that really in the end for Witness. But yeah, it can be just a little thing, but usually as a main lyric, an idea in my head, a little idea, and then we just thrash it out for weeks and weeks and just jam really. Go back to jamming, which because the temptation with all the recording gear is that you try and write it as you go. And what we've decided actually is that we need to go back to just playing and jamming and seeing what comes out, and you get a better idea then.
Yeah, and once you've got the track kind of finished, how straightforward is it to take it from that kind of demo, I guess, through to the finished product?
Yeah, pretty good. I think that by the time we've got the demo, if we've kind of got rid of the stuff that we don't want in it, then we do a demo actually of the finished thing, and then we look at what we want in it. So we tend to add like a lot of sax and stuff. We got this kind of ska thing that we're into, kind of reggae ska sort of feel. So we put a lot of horns in, and what we might end up doing is putting all the horns in over the demo we've done, and then actually re-recording the whole lot again afterwards on top of the horns and playing along to them then. So it can kind of be a couple of passes on the recording to get it to where it needs to be at the end. The recording that like you would have played, the horns would have been actually would have been the main thing that was down when we then recorded the main thing that you're hearing. We're kind of playing along to them in the end, but then once we get a good take, that's it really, and then we just mess around with it. We do it all ourselves, so we've got total control. Which is nice. It means we can come back to things. Often, if you're in a studio, you're paying by the hour, you have to be out by 6 or whatever the time is. We can actually leave an idea and come back to it a week later, and it's all how we left it. So that we're really lucky in that way. I think a lot of bands are recording themselves now, and that's really good. You're not forced to leave something half done. It's quite nice, really.
Yeah, no, for sure. And people want to see you doing some live stuff. You've got a few shows booked in. Tell us about those that have already been confirmed.
Yeah, so we've got we're playing Swindon. You should come to that one. That'll be cool. There's a place called the Castle in Swindon that we've played a few times. There's a thing called the Swindon Shuffle that we always do. We'll be doing that probably. But that Swindon, we love going there. It's kind of our Japan. What we're doing this weekend, we're playing the Tap Social in Oxford. We're doing our release for the single, and then we're doing Swindon. Then we're doing Wrexham in the summer. We're doing a festival there. We've got Charby Riverside Festival. I'm trying to remember them all now. I should have had a list up on my phone. We are doing. Can't remember. I can't remember. Never mind.
No, I've got a couple more in front of me. So you've got Childry Fest. And Abingdon as well. So those are in July.
I got some of them. I did some of them then.
You were almost there.
Okay. Good.
And with
trying to get the main one we're trying to get this year is Truck. We haven't played Truck Festival for a while, so we're pushing that at the moment. We're trying to get that. So we'll see if that happens.
And hopefully see you there.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Yeah, it is. I've been for the last few years, so yeah, it'd be good to see you there.
Amazing. Yeah.
And on top of hopefully Truck, what other shows are you hoping to book in this year? Are you hoping to have a busier year?
Yeah, definitely. So with the songs that are going on, we're kind of probably June, July, we need to get a load more gigs. We're looking at maybe something in Oxford, like we've done the O2 before on the Cowley Road, but there's actually the Bully as well now, the Bullingdon Arms. I don't know if you've been there, but that's actually a really cool venue. We've done ones at the library in Oxford as well, which is a really small venue, which I quite like because it gets really sweaty kind of punk feel. So maybe there. And all the festivals, really, we're still pushing for the festivals. There's still some that haven't confirmed or said either way, so more of them. And then probably the next thing will be September to do a whole little run of gigs for that September stuff. So we're starting to book that now. That will be any town that we can play in, really, anywhere, you know. So there'll be more Oxford, Swindon, places like that. But you know, it's hard because you kind of want to go. You want to go all over the country, but you can't really turn up in say for example, you can't just turn up in Sheffield and expect people to see an unknown band. So we've got to kind of build it this year with these different singles and try and build up some more radio play and stuff like that, and then hopefully we can go a bit further afield.
Yeah, that was my next question. Are you hoping to go further afield, and are you hoping to maybe go overseas at some point as well?
Yeah, I'd love to. We've like for example, we did Chester in the summer. There's a really good little scene in Chester, and a lot of the bands were coming from Liverpool and Manchester for that gig, and it was great. And what was nice about that is nobody had seen us before, so you're playing to like completely fresh crowd, and that's really exciting. They got no expectations, and you get a better idea about how you're sounding. So yeah, playing out of town is an absolute must. And yeah, abroad would be amazing. Somewhere like Portugal, Spain, like Berlin, any of those places would be great. But again, it's no point doing it until things are built up a bit. And so the momentum's the key really this year to those kind of things. I mean, we've talked to places in America before, which are people that have been keen for us to do stuff over there. But to like take the whole band there, that you've got that's a big mission. But it'd be amazing. It would be so cool.
Yeah, and I've heard of the cost as well.
Yeah, you could do it and not expect to cover costs and just see it as a cool holiday. I'd love to do that, you know, that'd be really cool.
And I hope you enjoyed the interview there with Black Hats. Now, if you are loving today's interviews, then you can listen to them again in an edited form on our international radio show. It's called Future Hits, and it brings you all of today's interviews alongside a load of new music and a live session too. If you want to check that out, head to the website, thesoundlabuk.co.uk, and click International Radio Shows. So it's now time for our final new interview, and it comes from Evelyn Cornell. She too has been releasing new music, and we had a chat with her all about it. So Evelyn Cornell, how are you?
I'm alright, thanks. How are you?
Good, yeah, not too bad. Thanks so much. So we've been playing a single of yours called Dear Mr. Matthew. Tell us a bit about the single, first of all.
So I wrote Mr. Matthew, I think, last year, maybe the year before. And I wrote it after watching Tess of the D'Urbervilles, which is a book by Thomas Hardy, which he wrote, and most people study at A-level now. I found it, especially the sexual connotations in the Mr. Matthew, very interesting, and I realised that you can relate those to the modern world today.
Yeah, nice. And you've now released a couple of singles, especially onto Spotify, with 17 being on there as well. What is your plan going forward with music at the moment? Is it just a case of dropping some singles around, or are you hoping for a bigger body of work sooner rather than later?
Yes, I am planning a few more things. There is going to be a few more singles before an album, but it's in its works.
Nice. That's good to hear. And obviously, as you're really quite new to releasing music and writing music too, I wanted to know how you chose this genre of music to kind of fit your music into.
Well, I've gone to America a lot, especially when I was younger. I think I've visited about 30 states now. And my parents just started playing country music a lot. I think because I've been there a lot, I've heard a lot of live country music. It's all my parents play at home. It's kind of what I've picked up and started liking.
Yeah, nice. So do you think that's how your music career is kind of going to go, or do you think there's other areas of the music industry you want to try and see if works for you and your style of performing and writing?
I don't think I'll go completely off the wire, but I think I definitely want to start a modern take on country, something that's a bit younger, a bit more relatable, because a lot of country, especially old country nowadays, is a lot of the same themes, can often be misogynistic if you go far back. But having a very young woman start country in a different light, especially because I'm English, doesn't make me very close to America at all. It's more like country pop freestyle kind of mix cross, especially with the themes of my songs.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I'd like to find out what made you do this in the first place.
What made me do it? Well, I started picking up the guitar, I think, when I was about 8. I'd been having lessons from 8, and then I had a period of about 6 months where I got really good at it. And I definitely put a lot of things into that. Then I started singing. I did a lot of singing, and I think what really led me into songwriting is a cross of all my skills because when I started year 7, I really started getting into poetry, and I've entered a few poetry competitions with my poems that I still write, but I think I channeled some of my poems into songwriting that worked out quite well.
Nice. Is it so when it comes to writing music, is it normally the lyric side of things that come first for you then?
Yes, it's usually lyrics. I usually have, when I write lyrics, some sort of melody, but not necessarily music with guitar or piano.
And how straightforward then do you find it to kind of layer up your music from the lyrics down through the music that you then layer up?
Well, I feel like the lyrics are the hardest part because I'll start with a verse that keeps going around my head. I'll be like, yes, I like that. And then I want more lyrics, but I can't find the ones that I like most. But once I've overcome that initial barrier, I think putting it to music and giving it tunes and sort of swapping out lines is quite easy.
Yeah, no, for sure. And you must have learnt a lot to do with the music industry in quite a short space of time. What are a couple of things that maybe have surprised you about kind of writing, recording, releasing music process?
I think I always knew a lot about the music industry. It's just what I've learned is, especially for me, the amount of people who think you're older than you are. Because I've come to people, a lot of people have come to me and said, "Oh, you're 16, about 17." And I'm like, "No, I'm not." And people say, "We've got a single called 17, wouldn't that make sense?" And I'm like, "No, it wouldn't, because I'm writing about being 17. I'm writing about wishing to be 17. I've never actually been 17."
Yeah, yeah, that makes sense. Do you think you'll write another song when you are 17 then about being 17 at the time? 17 part two, maybe.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I don't know what my future holds. I'd like to do languages a lot, so.
That's good to know. So with languages then, do you think you might try writing music in different languages and performing them in other languages too?
I might do. I learn a few other languages at the moment. I might add a verse or specific things or different languages um into songs, but one of them's an ancient language, which could come in handy because I've actually recently put an ancient language into my poetry, so it could work out like that.
I think you should try it. It sounds interesting. Sounds good as well. But I see you've got, according to your website, you've got a show coming up in Herne Bay in March. Bet you can't wait to be doing some shows.
Yeah, I'm very excited. It's a 2 hour set, and I'm very excited. I'm going to be using my busking set and a few other bits.
Nice. Is it going to be all your own music, or are you putting some covers in there? Kind of, what's the idea at the moment?
It's going to be a lot of covers because 2 hours on 2 songs. Oof. To be hearing those a load. But I do a lot of covers because I go up busking on a weekend.
Yeah, I have seen the videos going around with you busking. How did it transform from doing that side of things into kind of going down the more professional route?
I think just because I wanted to. I never expected it to get any further than 100 followers, 1,000 followers. I just kind of wanted something low key where I could put my stuff out there, have people like look at it, share it, and have fun with it. I never really decided for it to become a professional route, but I do like it now. It is.
No, that's good to hear. And obviously, with that Herne Bay show that you've got coming up, are you hoping to add some more shows around this year?
Yeah, I am. I'm hoping to get some festivals maybe near me. Small ones, not large ones. I'm not expecting anything like that. But hopefully with my next few songs that I have lined up, um, I might have a bit more of my own music in my sets.
Yeah, that sounds good. And you must have some aspirations of things you want to achieve in the music world. What's one thing you really want to do while in the professional music scene?
I'd like to break 7,500 followers, and I'd like to release my first album.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Sounds like a good plan. And you must be wanting to play a number of different places as well. Is there anywhere you want to go and play at some point as well?
I'd like to play somewhere in America. I mean, it's country music. I'd like to play an open mic in America. That's really a dream of mine because I'm Britain's youngest country singer, and I think it'd be really interesting for Americans who usually hear classic country music to hear something a bit different.
And I hope you enjoyed the interview there with Evelyn Cornell. Now, this is the part of the show where we like to throw back in time, and we're doing so back to 2024, where we had a little chat with Mark Ambor. He had a big year that year, but we had a chat with him just before he kicked it all off, and we put that down to ourselves, of course. So, Mark Ambor from 2024, how are you?
I'm great today. Thanks for having me, Jim.
Great stuff. Pleasure's all mine. So we've been playing a new single of yours called Belong Together. Tell us a little bit about the single.
Yeah, Belong Together is well, I'm especially proud of it because I kind of made it alone in my basement, and to see it resonating around the world the way it has been really rewarding. But Belong Together is just about friends and family and people that you love and being surrounded by things and people that make you happy. It's about kind of escaping through that, and when you escape through that, the bad parts of the world kind of fizzle away, and that's kind of what Belong Together is about to me.
Nice, excellent. You've now released a couple of singles since your last record. Are we now gearing up to another bigger body of work?
Yes, we are actually. I'm working on my debut album, set to come out this summer. I guess I haven't really announced that yet, but here I am. Here I am telling you. But yeah, it's good to be belong together, and I hope it all works out, or all on that project. And that project is just it's about what I kind of just briefly said. They're all about. I mean, ideally, I want fans to feel an escape when they listen to this album. I want them to feel heard. I want them to feel good. I want, the worries of the world to once again, kind of go away, and when they're immersed in this album. And I know like Good to Be and Belong Together are all these like upbeat, very optimistic songs, and like I love that. That's very much who I am in a lot of ways. But also, this project has some songs that are, touching on things that aren't as bright, insecurities, and all that stuff. So I'm excited for the world to hear it all, and I'm just working hard on finishing it.
Yeah, nice. And how's it sounding in comparison to the music of yours that's already out there?
It's definitely more in the world of Good to Be, Belong Together, and I hope it all works out. Kind of that more organic, like I don't know. It's mostly organic instruments, kind of vibe. And I love just big choruses and heavy like drums that like really hit for the chorus. I'm like super inspired by Coldplay, and I know, and Coldplay always does that. It's like these anthemic choruses. So yeah, it's very much in the same vein as Good to Be and Belong Together, and I hope it all works out.
Nice, excellent. And I'd like to talk a little bit about the writing side of things as well. So for you, how do tracks normally start off?
So tracks normally, I guess it's different a lot, but for the most part, it's me and either a guitar and a piano, and I just sit in my room and I just write on my phone. I use the Notes app and voice memos to record it and remember it. And I like taking a step away after I write and letting that demo sit, and then revisiting it a few days later with maybe a handful of other demos I had written. And it becomes obvious of that batch which ones I actually like, because it's very easy after you write a song to just like that song immediately. But yeah, so when I give it some space and some time and revisit it, it becomes more obvious which ones or one is the best in my opinion.
And what about the lyrics for you? How easy do the lyrics come to you?
I definitely have to be in the right headspace, the right zone. I definitely tend to write best in the mornings. I don't know. Often what'll happen is I'll just come up with a line, or I'll do the thing where like I find a chord progression that I love, and I'll just keep playing it, and I'll mumble melodies over it and a word will come or a phrase will come, and I sometimes build around that. That's mostly how it starts. But usually there's like a line or a word that comes in that process where where I gravitate towards it. I'm like, oh, that's really cool. Like for example, Belong Together. The first line over for that song was, I know sleep is friends with death, but maybe I should get some rest because I've been out here working all damn day. And I thought it was cool because like I'm kind of a workaholic, and I love just I don't know, I love working on things that I'm passionate about, and in this case music, and I never give myself a break. And I feel like, I don't know, I know a lot of people like that, and I just thought it was a really cool way of saying that. And from there I kind of just traveled through where my brain was taking me, and it became Belong Together. That's kind of the best way to describe it.
Yeah, nice. And is there any lyrics that you've not used yet that you really want to use at some point in the future?
That's a good question. The thing with me is when I find something that I like need to do it immediately. So I'm not the type of person that has like a bank of lyrics or ideas in my phone. I know a lot of people that are like that, but I just, if I have, what happens is if I leave something, if I think of something I like and I put it in a notes app and I forget about it, I, I'll most likely never actually finish it. I just know myself, and it's like I'm more immediate. Like I need to, if I like the idea, I'm going to do it right now.
Yeah, fair enough. And you've had the chance to play some live shows recently. How have they been going?
Incredible. We have our third London show tonight. I mean, this whole tour has been crazy. Like we put it on sale after Good to Be kind of was having its a little moment, and just the way it sold was kind of a shock to me. I didn't realize that there were that many people out there that wanted to come see me live, and it's been so amazing and humbling and awesome to be able to put numbers that I've seen on my phone for a while into, real life, and put faces to those people that are commenting and stuff. And obviously it's amazing to hear people sing your songs back, and with Belong Together now doing its thing, it's just really cool to watch it kind of grow in front of me. I don't know. It's really a special, kind of hard to describe feeling.
Yeah, and you've got a few more shows left. London tonight, some in Germany
Yeah.
across the rest of this week and next week as well. What's happening after them? Because there's not much booked in.
Yeah. So after we're done with the Germany, and there's like another Paris and Amsterdam. After we're done with those, I go home and I finish the album, and I get it out by summer. And we already, if I'm being transparent, we already have future tour plans lined up and for the album, and we got to shoot music videos and all that stuff for these songs. So it doesn't end when I go home. It's just the beginning kind of when I go home. But it's been really cool to make personal connections on the road because this is my first tour. I've never been able to do that before.
Yeah, I'm looking to future tours. I'm assuming you'll want to do US and back over here as well. Where else is on the cards for you at the moment?
We're also looking at Australia. Should be really cool. I've never been there before. Um, and it's still in discussion. Like it's starting to be planned, and
Yeah.
that's all I can reveal right now. But yeah, Australia is a cool one that I'm very excited about. I've never been there.
Yeah, nice. And as you're now starting to make a name for yourself, I'd like to find out what made you do this in the first place.
Yeah, I kind of getting to music was it was very kind of organic process for me. I played piano my whole life. My mom had me take lessons growing up, and there was a point in high school where the lessons kind of interfered with my social life, and I quit because first of all, I was learning classical music, which I wasn't that interested in. I wanted to learn the like music I was listening to, and so I took a break from piano. I quit, and then I ended up missing it, and I went back and I would go on YouTube and I'd learn covers of songs, and or if I could, I would try to learn it by ear because sometimes there's cool voice things that I'd come up with when I just messed around on my own. And whatever, I guess fast forward to summer before going into college. I'm from a small town in New York called Pleasantville. It's a little too on the nose to be real, but it is real. And it is a small town where like, you have your reputation, and when you have your corner of the world and your space that you like, it's kind of hard to let go of. And my best friends are still my friends from home, and I didn't want to go to college. I didn't want to start a new reputation, meet all these new people, and start this whole new life, which that's what it felt like to me. So I was feeling all those lost feelings, and my friends had left for school. I was home alone. Me and my girlfriend at the time had broken up. My parents were at work. I never sang for anyone. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to try to write a song. So I sat at the piano and I wrote a song about how I was feeling, and I recorded on my voice memos, and I went to work that night. I was like a bar back at a family friend's restaurant. I was proud of what I made. So I sent it to a group chat to my parents, and I said, "Hey, what do you guys think of this?" And my parents are they're a bit older. I'm the baby of the family by a lot. And they were, especially like whatever, 7 years ago, whenever that was, they were not good at technology. So my mom answers a few hours later and she goes, "Hey, Dad and I really love this song. Who's the artist?" And I was like, "What?" I was like, "Mom, it's me." And she was like, she's like, "No way." And that was kind of like the catalyst of me writing more. And I, started writing more songs, picked up GarageBand, started messing with that, picked up an acoustic guitar because my brother played. There was like an extra one in the closet. I started learning that. I got Logic, and the passion just grew throughout college. And basically in 2020, I graduated, and I promised myself I need to try music solely for at least 6 months because school was always first for me. And I did, and that's when COVID happened, and that's when TikTok kind of happened, and them all blending together and me putting myself out there. It all kind of just worked in a way where I'm very grateful for. It obviously there's a lot more nuance to that story, and I could go on for a long time, but that's mostly how I got into it. Yeah, and it took a few years, especially from 2020 to now, to really write songs that are deeply about me and that resonate with who I am and the way I see the world and that kind of thing. So I genuinely feel like Good to Be was the first song that really tapped into deeply important parts of my life.
Nice. And you mentioned there doing covers on the piano of tracks you loved. Do you think you might put your own rendition on a track that you love and release it to the world for us all to hear?
Yeah, definitely. I haven't fully found, there isn't like a song in my head that I'm like, I need to do that song, put out in the world. One will definitely come. But I mean, in my live shows, I have a couple covers that I do that just feel like important to me. One of them's Clocks by Coldplay. I love Coldplay. But yeah.
I guess you want to hope for the phone call to support them at some point.
That would be crazy. Yeah, that'd be crazy.
Possible. It's doable.
Yeah.
And I hope you enjoyed the interview there with Mark Ambor from 2024. And that's the end of the show, I'm afraid, for another week. Don't you worry, we will be back next week with more interviews. But if you can't wait until then, social media at The Sound Lab, yes, on all the socials. And you can also check out the website, thesoundlabuk.co.uk. And we'll be back next week for another episode of Interviews Unedited. Goodbye.